We had a crazy day number 2. Let's see how today measures up. Hello everyone, welcome to day number 3 of the new custom mail-in tournament. Let's meet our first group that'll start us off. We have Cloaked After Dark from Ron Jansen. MDG from Team MDG. Hardcore Poetic Racing from Team Hardcore Poetic Racing. And Lily the Dog is back, thanks to Rick Latshaw. Once again, thank you all for submitting your vehicles. They all look absolutely fantastic. Let's see how they do on the track. And the race has begun. Lily the Dog is taking an edge. The other three racing, I was about to say they stay relatively close together. But it actually looks like MDG is pushing Lily the Dog along and now is trying to find a way around them. But as they go around that turn, it's proving to be difficult. And now Hardcore Poetic is coming out of nowhere, trying to pass them both. So far successful with MDG, and they take off. They now have the lead. MDG is now fighting for second. Lily the Dog quickly falls behind. And Hardcore Poetic takes the first win, finishing with a 15.57. Right now our fastest time, which was broken a lot in day number 2, is now being held by Boomershine, who has a 14.51 time to beat. Let's see if anyone can get under 14.5 seconds or even 14 seconds flat. But so far, Hardcore Poetic is in the lead in points. Let's see if they stay there. They do start in the back of the pack at the beginning of this race, and so far they are actually falling relatively behind, while MDG takes an early lead. Now Cloaked After Dark is the one in second, and now they're quickly closing that gap. Closing in an MDG around that turn. And MDG is going around the walls, and Hardcore Poetic once again comes up behind them. Unfortunately, they tried a nose block and it didn't work. And now MDG has an even bigger lead while the other three fight for second. MDG spins around, but they straighten out, and they had just enough speed to take the next win. Their time was a little bit slower there, but it could have been because of the contention early on. But now the points are spread out a little bit more evenly overall. And we also will not have an undefeated racer come out of this group. So far up to this point, we have not had anybody go through an entire video winning every single race they were in. Let's see if today will change, but that can only happen if someone in the second group does it. But for now, MDG once again out in front. And they have a decent sized lead already. Hardcore Poetic, who normally is passing everybody by this point, is actually struggling in the back of the pack, while MDG has no contention against them whatsoever. And now they go into the home stretch, no one opposing them, and they take the third win. Not the third consecutive win, but the third race with the win. And Lily the Dog managed to grab second. Hardcore Poetic is a little less fortunate, finishing in last. Hardcore Poetic, who seemed promising at the beginning, is now seen struggling. And it looks like we have a loose screw or something on the track. We're not sure if that came from one of these racers or if it's still there from the other day, in which case someone may need to go down on the track and pick that up, because that could be dangerous. But now for the fourth race, we're not entirely sure who's going to move on here after some of those races, but MDG is definitely in favor of doing so. And he actually ends up passing Cloaked After Dark, who held the lead for just a moment, but now it's in favor of MDG. And now Hardcore Poetic is once again playing catch-up. But so far, they're not able to do so up to this point, like they were in previous races, at least in that first one for sure. But MDG gets 3 consecutive wins, so they will move on. It's just a matter of who will go in alongside them. And so far, no one has been able to beat Boomershine's time. It looks like the screw is now off the track, so hopefully no one else will be affected by it. But it was Hardcore Poetic moving on alongside MDG. Let's see who will join them. Sneaky Bob from Vapor Racing. Arlo, a fan favorite, is back from Arlo Racing. Roberto Perez. thanks to Heriberto and Leo from Reina Racing. Heriberto Perez, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly that time. But for now, here we go. The second group has started, and Arlo is pushing Sneaky Bob forward. And now they are in first and second respectively going around the first turn. And they are trying to pull away, leaving the other two in the dust. Heriberto is looking to find a way around Reina. Almost looked like they were going to, but so far they haven't. Meanwhile, Sneaky Bob stays out in front, and Arlo is trying to find a way to get around that turn, slingshot themselves forward, and pass them, but they just did not have what they needed to pull it off. And it looks like Sneaky Bob now has the fastest time. They have taken over Boomershine's time and now has finished with a 14.23. And with a time like that, I have no doubt in my mind that somebody could eventually go under 14 seconds. But now Sneaky Bob, if anyone is going to stay undefeated, it will be them. And here we go into race number 2. Arlo and Sneaky Bob are now in the back while Heriberto and Reina take the 2 front spots. And Reina now has the lead. Heriberto is trying to keep the two leaders, from passing him, and so far it actually seems to be working. Heriberto stays in second around that turn where racers normally start passing each other, and he is doing everything he can to block them. And in doing so, I think Sneaky Bob actually started sliding sideways, while Heriberto actually takes a lead. And no one, through 3 days of racing, will stay undefeated. Which is especially the case because Sneaky Bob is on their side. It didn't look like anyone caused it to happen. I guess somehow the momentum shifted them onto their side. Great racing by Heriberto Perez. That is the break they needed. Now they just need to keep that momentum going. And now into race number 3. Arlo is out in front currently, and he's being pushed forward by Sneaky Bob, I guess returning the favor from earlier. Now it is those two out in front yet again. Now can they stay at that spot? It looked like Sneaky Bob is actually propelling Arlo forward, which Arlo may need if he wants to stay in this competition. This would be a surprise elimination if Arlo does not continue. But those two are fighting for first, and Sneaky Bob literally sneaks their way past Arlo at the last moment, taking the next first place finish. And Arlo consistently stays in second. Meanwhile, Heriberto finishes in third, and Reina in last. Yes, sometimes you don't even need to finish in first place at all. As long as you're consistent, that could be exactly what you need in order to progress. These two will definitely need to step up their game. Heriberto had one good race. Let's see if they can get another one. And those points are suddenly looking a lot closer. Overall, in terms of points, Sneaky Bob has 10, Arlo has 9, Heriberto has 8, and Reina is only at 5. But they're all within 5 points of each other, so technically anyone could still move on. It all just comes down to where they will finish in this particular race. This could be a make or break situation. And right now it's looking pretty good for Arlo as they are way out in front this time around. Sneaky Bob may not be able to catch them this time. And they don't, as Arlo gets that win, so it looks like Arlo will be moving on this time. And here comes Heriberto finishing in third. I don't think it'll be enough since Sneaky Bob and Arlo, the two leading in points, finished in first and second. Meanwhile, Reina was barely able to cross the finish line. I don't know how they pulled that off to the point where they crossed the line and yet somehow did not go over the edge of the track. But they've somehow found a way. They stayed in those little grooves on the track. That's one way to stay straight. But yes, Arlo and Sneaky Bob have rounded out the final spots in the finals, which we will now start. So now we have Arlo and Sneaky Bob joining Hardcore Poetic and NDG. And now we will see how each of these races play out. I think Sneaky Bob currently has the fastest time right now. So let's see if they can get another fastest time or not. So far, they're skidding sideways and trying to block Hardcore Poetic and Arlo from passing him. And now MDG is taking full advantage of that and leaving them all in the dust. Sometimes when you block, as we saw in the last race, it can actually make things worse for you. And MDG found a perfect opportunity and coasts along the line, finishing in first. And Sneaky Bob takes second, and Arlo finishes in fourth behind Hardcore. This could be dangerous. Arlo will definitely need to step up their game if they want to stay in this competition. Arlo is a familiar racer in competitions like these, so an early exit would be a shock. And now for race number 2, MDG currently holding on to the lead in points. And he's fighting alongside Sneaky Bob, who's now once again being pushed forward by Arlo. But now Arlo falls behind as Sneaky Bob takes the lead. MDG literally right on his tail, trying to find a way around him. Going side to side, so far he is able to find an opening, but doesn't have the speed to take it. Now here comes Arlo trying to pass up them both. Going around the last turn, Arlo's trying to find his way around. MDG is able to do it, while Sneaky Bob finishes in first this time around. Meanwhile, Hardcore Poetic finishes in fourth. So far, nobody beating that fastest time. But anything under 15 seconds right now is a little bit more promising. But now it is Sneaky Bob who holds the lead in points. But MDG is still following behind in a close second, only short by 1. And now it is MDG pushing Sneaky Bob forward, who has that lead, but Arlo is trying to make something of it, but so far is actually going the opposite way and almost fell into fourth place behind Hardcore. But around that turn, they managed to keep enough speed to stay in third, and now there's a three-way battle for second as Sneaky Bob pulls away. It's hard to say who will finish in second, but it's clear that Sneaky Bob will take another win. And I didn't quite catch who finished in second. We'll have to check the replay just to be sure. It looks like it might have been MDG. Was Arlo able to take him? No. So now things are looking a little bit better for MDG, who now has 10 points. And let's double check the points in a second for the other racers. MDG has 10, Sneaky Bob has 13, so he's in a really good position. And Arlo currently only has 6. In order for him to move on, he will likely have to finish in first, while MDG falls far behind, and so far he is in first, as he executes a well-done nose block to keep the others behind him. And he was able to get a little bit of a momentum shift as he goes further ahead, but now he skids to a stop sideways on the track, causing the others to catch up to him, and now Poetic is the one who launches him forward. And Arlo was able to finish in first, while MDG finishes in fourth. I think as a result, we will have a tiebreaker between the two. But I think Sneaky Bob will be the one to automatically move on. And yes, Arlo and MDG will now have to fight for that second spot alongside Sneaky Bob. The way this will work is there will be 2 racers between these 2 racers, and whoever pulls up the fastest time overall will be the one to progress. And right now things are looking pretty good for Arlo as he slingshots himself around that turn, taking a decent sized lead. MDG is now in trouble. Arlo goes around the second to last turn before the last straightaway, and MDG is nowhere to be seen. And he takes an easy win, finishing with our new fastest time of 14.06. If this tiebreaker did not happen, then I believe Sneaky Bob would still have the fastest time, but now that title is given to Arlo. Although I'm not sure if people will count that or not, considering this is an unusual circumstance. But now, in order for MDG to move on, not only does he have to finish in front of Arlo, but he will have to get the record for the fastest time. So far, he's actually falling behind as Arlo takes another lead. But MDG is a little bit closer to him this time around, but he will have to launch himself forward like a rocket in order to stay in this competition. But Arlo will take the win, and Arlo sneaks his way in. He almost didn't get there. But that last race in the group gave him the opportunity he needed to get that tiebreaker and move on alongside Sneaky Bob. That is definitely an edge of your seat race right there. And now we have our next two people in the grand finals. Thank you all so much for watching. See you next time.